Alrighty, Darren Yergin here on behalf of the NCAA following Game 8 of the 2023 NCAA Baseball Championships. We're joined by the victorious Lynchburg squad with an 8-3 win over East Texas Baptist here in the nightcap on day 2. From left to right, it's head coach Lucas Jones. In the middle, Brandon Pond. To his right, it's Holden Fiedler, and all the way on the right, it's Eric Hyatt. So, Coach, give us an opening statement about what you saw out there and kind of what's been going on since you've been in here in Cedar Rapids.
Tonight, it's a Pond show. I mean, it's Lynchburg baseball, but obviously that performance was really impressive. I know it was a little bit of a rough start, in terms of just kind of settling in, but I think once he did, certainly kind of executed the game plan, and just fortunate to be able to, offensively come up with the, couple of hits that we did have were opportunities early in the game where we drove some runs in to give us a lead and at least just kind of excel from there.
Absolutely, and we'll flip it back here to Lynchburg to ask some questions.
Did you see your teammates behind the plate, Brendan? Did that help you, give you a little support? What do you say about those guys back there?
Man, they mean the world to me and mean the world to everybody else. It's a group effort, and even though they're in the stands, it's just as much as important for them as it is for us to be in the game.
Did you guys realize that he retired the last 24 batters, essentially, faced the minimum over the last 8 innings?
Well, I had no idea. I think the first inning was kind of clouded, so after that it was like, all right, but no, I had no clue.
Did that hit you?
It hit me at the end, obviously, when I saw the final out, got the strikeout, but no, I had no idea. I mean, I had a little tough time settling in the beginning. My heart rate was kind of up. Balls were, over top of the plate, a little bit too up. But,
Is some of that because of, just the long first inning where your team was at the plate, something like that, or just come in overhyped because it's a World Series, or what?
I think it's a little bit of both. Long inning, get a little tight, trying to stay loose, but, it's a World Series, and, heart rate and breathing is going to be important, and I think mine got a little too high, but I figured it out.
Yeah, how did you figure that out? What'd you do?
I just had to sit there and know that, I can compete, and my stuff's good enough anywhere, and anywhere in the country I can throw, sliders 2-0, I can compete with my stuff, so.
You were catching him. Tell us what you saw. What was he doing today?
Yeah, I think the score, obviously, in the first inning, the 3 runs is kind of the telltale for that, I would say didn't have his best stuff, and the score kind of reflected that. Not necessarily that they did anything. Obviously, it's credit to their hitters capitalizing, on our pitches that were kind of, not where he wanted to be, but I think it's, a really a tip of the cap to him and able to make the adjustment and then come back, like you said, over the next 8 innings and just dominate.
And then, meanwhile, Coach, just the concept of not getting your second hit until you guys go up 7-3, right? Have you ever been in a game like that?
I think we've had a few, maybe a couple more hits.
Yeah.
We're not getting any stylish points, for the win offensively. We took advantage of some free passes and some hit by pitches, and Eric had the big double there in the first inning that certainly kind of at least kind of catapulted the run, the runs, and then we took advantage, there of just some situational stuff to get the sac fly to get that 5th run, or get the lead to 5. But yeah, we, I said last night, we're sometimes death by 1,000 cuts offensively. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing to lead the country in walks or be in the top 5 the last 3 years, but I would love to drive more baseballs and lead the country in doubles and home runs, but walks will do, especially on a game like tonight where I think approach was good, and for the most part our guys will swing at strikes and take balls. I don't think we chase a lot. I can think of maybe 1 or 2 swings tonight where we kind of chased out of the zone and kind of lost what we do well, but for the most part our guys just kind of stayed to the plan, and I think early on we had some advantage counts and we didn't put some real good swings on it, so that's frustrating. But I think again towards the middle to back end, we took advantage of some situational hitting that helped us.
Eric, you come up in that first inning, and they've walked 3 of the first 4 batters. What are you looking for as a hitter at that point? And remind me what the count was when you.
I believe it was 1-1 when I hit the double, but really I was just trying to get my pitch, especially after him being all over the place, just sitting on one spot and I got it and just drove it and was able to get those 2 guys in.
Been in a game like that where, so few hits turn into so many runs?
Throughout this year, yeah, we've had
Okay.
a few games where we've had
That's great.
probably less than 5 hits and still won them, but
All right.
it was a big one right there.
For Brandon, there was a pretty incredible double play made in left field on a relay throw to nail a guy at third base. Just talk about what that does for you as a pitcher. Obviously, you were rolling, but when your defense is making plays like that, just how much more confidence does that give you on the mound?
I mean, just knowing a guy like even he was in left field and his arm and his bat, and all around, he's just an amazing player. I mean, it was great to see that, and it fired me up. I mean, just obviously I was rolling, but just see him throw a guy like that in a big spot, it just completely fired me up and just made me want to go hard. So.
Pitch a hard one for Coach Jones. How do you keep these guys in the moment? You are going to have an off day tomorrow. You've obviously been rolling here. I don't know if you wish you could play more baseball tomorrow. I might, but yeah, how do you just keep your team in the moment? You guys are just one win away from the championship series, but I know you're going to probably try to take it one game at a time. So just talk a little bit about what your message is to the group with the off day tomorrow, any plans, and then sort of the outlook going into the rest of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I think tomorrow is a big, opportunity to recover. Certainly try and take advantage of a little practice time for arms, especially to play catch and prepare for Monday. But I mean, we've been hooting with the Owls the last 2 nights. It's kind of tiring. Getting home at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. These last 2 nights. So it'll be nice to probably have opportunity to sleep in and regroup and not have to play a baseball game. And I think that's probably important. As much so as continuing to play, recovery is probably the biggest factor right now.
Holden, talk a little bit about the pitching staff. Obviously, you being a representative of the battery here, just you guys have only used 4 pitchers here in these 2 games, and certainly, obviously, Pond going the distance today, and Potts was shoving pretty good too yesterday. So, just talk a little bit about that and how that sets you guys up for the rest of your time here.
Yeah, I think we have a ton of depth, and that's one thing that we've kind of talked about as a staff all year is how good we are depth-wise, top to bottom. But for our guys to be able to come out and shove Potts and Pond, certainly Pond tonight, it just sets us up really well for the rest of the time that we're here to be able to rely on having those guys fresh and use them, when they're not coming off of pitching multiple days in a row. So it allows them to get a little recovery, allows them to be fresh and ready to go for when we need them.
And then, Eric, why don't you just expand a little bit on what Brandon talked about, just the support from the community, your fans, your teammates, and sort of how that type of positive energy can drive you guys forward in this tournament.
I think it helped us from the first pitch. Obviously, in that first inning, I think, honestly, they could have helped get in the pitcher's head there, too, making him throw a lot of balls. And then when he did throw strikes, we benefited on him. And those guys were in it the whole game, striking. They were doing the strike 3 the whole time, every single one. And they were just hyping us up and just kept us in the game.
Any questions, more questions from Lynchburg? Jim, Pat?
Oh, good.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll let you guys get out of here a little bit earlier than yesterday or last night, whatever you want to call it, this morning. But thanks to you for joining us, and enjoy your off day today, and rest and recover for what should be some more outstanding baseball here in Cedar Rapids from Lynchburg. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thanks for y'all.